Do you find it difficult to come up with content ideas for your podcast? Or perhaps you've gotten stuck during an interview with a guest where you just have nothing to ask anymore? Try Poddex today. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from podcast ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions, for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards and pick one at random. Hit the record button and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment, all with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C. Once again, poddex.com and use code C4C. Hi, I am Raphael Harry. I am the host of White Label American Podcast, and this is my participation in the C4 Challenge with the Content Creators of Color Collective. I am going to be answering 5 questions from amazing content creators and sometimes everyday people who inspire me or are just relatable in one way or the other. So enjoy, and I hope you get to learn something about me, and also check out the people who asked me questions. Thank you. Welcome to day 15 of the C4 Challenge, and today I shall be answering questions from the General Mutombo himself, also known as Denis Maronga, but to me he is the General Mutombo, and also most people in Seattle. He is a comedian, he is an entrepreneur, he is the host of the African Excellist Podcast. He's an all-round content creator too. So let's begin. Question number 1. What kind of a kid were you while growing up? No. This guy asking like 3 questions in one. I'm only going to take one from this. I asked for simple questions and he's cheating. That's why he's a general. So I'm only going to take the first question because there's like 3 questions and he sent like, God damn, I don't even know how many questions are in here. So, question number 1. What kind of a kid were you while growing up? I was quite playful. I had a functioning imagination that got flogged a lot. At the same time, it did not stop me from playing, imagining stuff, acting as a dictator. Because as a kid, all the leaders of Nigeria were military rulers, so they always gave speeches during the holidays, national holidays, when a coup d'etat had happened. So they always came on TV to let you know that they were alive, or the new military guy in charge had taken over. And it always began with my dear fellow Nigerians. I assure you, and depending on which part of the country they're from, we all know what part of the country they're from. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know, you know. And so there was that accent, and I always try to mimic that. And fortunately, I watched the torture and killing of Samuel Doe from the Liberian Civil War. I don't know why they were selling that on Nigerian streets, but we also reenacted that too as a war game amongst the kids. So we were very, very. It was a weird childhood, but we considered having fun, being outdoors, playing Commando, which was Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chuck Norris, Claude Van Damme, all those wrestling. Yeah, all those were huge, were much bigger than even soccer until our teenage years. Then soccer started slowly coming in. Question number 2. How did you start the White Label American and what it entails? I don't understand this question, to be honest, the second part of the question. I have answered this question already, but on my regular podcast, and someone else asked me this question. So, how did I start White Label American? Well, a friend came to me and said I should not lose my creativity because I wanted to give up podcasting. And I was thinking of recording at the library. Well, I was looking for where to record. So I was thinking of recording at home because the thief who had partnered with earlier on for podcasting had wanted us to record at his house, and his house wasn't conducive in Yonkers, trash place. I was thinking of recording at home, but I don't, we just had a baby and I don't think it was going to be conducive. So I was thinking of using the library, Brooklyn. Shout out to Brooklyn Central Library. They have a world-class recording facility there. You can make videos and audio recordings at the library for free. But you can only do that if you want to use the audio, and if you want to use their facilities there, you can only reserve that twice a month. However, they have meeting rooms in there where you can still use. If you have your own equipment, you can also record in there. So like people do business meetings, they're entrepreneurs who don't have office space, they have meetings there. So I was thinking of using the meeting rooms for recordings, and then twice a month I will host some high-profile guests, people who are considered high-profile, at the world-class studio rooms. But the person who I had with me, who was supposed to be the producer, who shall be sending me some questions very soon, he messed up the very first recording of White Label American, and he forgot to, we had 2 mics, he forgot to turn my mic on. And me not being a technical person, did not even bother to ask, is the mic on? I just, I always trust my people. And he recorded my co-host and the guest. And so afterwards when he's listening, he's like, oh man, your voice is not on the recording. I was like, man. And then Park Slope Parents had a meetup. I'm a member of Park Slope Parents. And they had a meetup for podcasters. Park Slope Parents has everything. If you're in the Park Slope area, even if you're not in Park Slope area of Brooklyn, and you're a parent, join them. There's stuff, there's hookups there, man. There's hookups. I'm not saying hookups romantically. Hey, don't. Hey, do your thing, but don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of, like for baby stuff, if you just have a baby, you don't want to be spending money because baby stuff costs money. There are people giving out stuff. There's hookups there. So we are a member of that group, and they have different subgroups in there. And one of the subgroups, one day I saw an email that said podcasters meetup. And they were meeting at the Brooklyn Podcasting Studio. I'd never heard of the studio. I'd never even bothered to research into studios. And lo and behold, there was a studio not far away from me. So I went there. I was late to the meetup. Met the former co-owner, TJ, awesome guy. And TJ introduced me to Josh, my now producer. And TJ will take me into the studio. It was close to midnight, and one thing will lead to another. We even recorded an episode that day, and I was just like, man, I fell in love with the studio. I was like, this is where I want to come record. And that's been my home since then. So that's how I started White Label American. Question number 3. What would you say about the current state of podcasts in Nigeria? I honestly don't have an answer for that. I don't. You can ask, what's his name, from the Culture Class podcast. He's more in touch with podcasters in Nigeria. I know Nigerians who are podcasting outside of Nigeria. I did not have a positive experience when I was beginning, and I was trying to get people who are new in Nigeria to help me put my podcast out there. A lot of them were just like, oh, Nigerians don't listen to podcasts. Nobody, like podcasts and all that. And then about almost 2 years later, I'll find out that there was a whole podcast community in Lagos. People were creative, but I'd just blocked them out of my mind. I wasn't interested in connecting anymore because of that bad experience that I had in the beginning. So I never really paid attention to Lagos, to Nigeria, but it just seems to me right now that almost every podcast I've heard of or I've known or I've connected with in Nigeria is in Lagos. So what about the other cities, But I guess it also has to do with data, internet, which is terrible. For a country like Nigeria, it is a mess, a hot mess. You can call Kenya, you get good, clear connection. People in Kenya, you get good connection. People in South Africa, you get good connection. People in even Ghana. Ghana is still shaky, but it's still better. But Nigeria, I've tried recording with somebody in Nigeria. That has to be like my worst audio quality. The guest who happened to just be visiting Nigeria when he came on my podcast, that was the worst audio quality that I had because the Zoom connection kept breaking. I kept losing connection. So, shout out to people in Nigeria who are podcasting. I know they're working against a whole lot of hurdles. So shout out to them. But I can't really tell you much about what the current state of podcasting is. But I know there's a lot of podcasters. Lagos has its own thing going on. They have a big community there. I don't know about Abuja, but Abuja should, the way internet works there, Abuja should be almost as good as Lagos, if not better. But Abuja is not as big as Lagos. So yeah. Question number 4. You have made milestones while in the United States, including hitting 10K listens marks. Well, I've crossed 11,000, but thank you. How has the journey been? It's like every other journey of life. It's been up and down. It's not been easy. A lot of people who I thought would have my back have literally just turned their back on me. It's been very disappointing to see the reactions from my military community that I used to volunteer with in the New York, the tri-state area. A lot of them were people who encouraged me before I began. And it just seems like the moment I took off and I started releasing episodes, the more I continued, they slowly started withdrawing from me. The more I, hey man, can you put a word out for me? Just, give me 5 stars, something. Oh, yeah, good. And you don't hear from them anymore. And, remind them, oh, yeah, I got a Patreon. Oh, finally, when before I even had a Patreon, a whole bunch of them were asking, hey, can we give you money? And yes, I took forever to start a Patreon. So I'm not mad at them about that. But when it finally came to be, at least, you all could have. They have connections. I know these people. They have connections to people. And it just seemed like a whole bunch of them were just hearing from me for the first time. And so you have to deal with that. And you have to, okay, well, I guess they're allowed to be that. It's not the end of the world. So, you have to learn how to deal with downs. And there's been the highs too. Where people who you do not expect to show support have been supporters. One of my now very good friends, it was thanks to a former military buddy, we became friends, and he's been one of my biggest supporters. So yeah, I'm no longer friends with the person who even introduced us, but now we've become friends. He knows my family, and I appreciate people like that, because they stand by me, they're there for me, and I'm there for them too. So yeah, you have to just be prepared, and you take a few punches to the chin, and like was said in one of my favorite white savior movies, The Ghost and the Darkness. Hey, it's not about being knocked down, it's what you do after you've been knocked down. So yeah, so that's how the journey has been, and I'm glad to have received the knocks And yeah, I'm back on my feet. And yeah, so now I've crossed 11,000, going to 12,000 very soon. And yeah, we're looking at 100,000 even. So let's go. Keep sharing and putting us out there. Are you a podcaster who does not have a website? You do not know where to begin. You are afraid. You are worried. Well, worry not. Podpage is here for you to start your website. All you need is go to podpage.com. And in less than 5 minutes, you have a website running. There's amazing colors, great templates to guide you. And if you want to go Podpage Pro, hey, all you need to do is hit the c4challenge.com website and check out the code there, C4C, and get your discount and begin. Podpage.com. That's for you. Last question, because this man sent this Kenyan man. Yes, he's Kenyan, by the way. He's from the Luo people. That's my adopted tribe in Kenya. And this Luo brother of mine, he sent 8 questions? Nah, we'll be stopping at 5, because his wife also sent me questions. So I have to take care of his wife's questions too. So, question number 5 and final question. Tell us what would be your advice to those young dreamers out there looking up to you. You don't have to be your parents. At the same time, if your passion is what your parents are doing, then fine, do it. Just because your parents were doctors, your teachers, or accountants, or just because accountants are the biggest, the fastest way to make money, or even IT engineers, does not mean you must go that route to make money, to survive. Or because like Nigeria, the fastest way to make money in Nigeria is either you're a pastor or you are a politician. You don't have to do that. There are other options. And I'm not saying go do Yahoo at the same time. There are other options. Look at one of the regrets that I have. I don't like to say I have regrets, but that's a regret. Languages. I used to speak up to 4 languages before I was age 5. And family beat a bunch of it out of me because they did not like the way I spoke English. But if I had continued, if I hadn't lost that ability to speak languages, it would have made it easier for me to add French. And probably by the time I started liking German as a teenager, not knowing that I would end up with a German woman, I probably would have added German. And by the time I joined the Navy, I would have been paid mad money. That would have added to my paycheck because you can. It's a skill set. Just being able to speak more languages, understand and speak languages, being able to read, write. It's not told to us that that's a skill set. By the time I was 16, all I was told one day was, "Come here, take this fabric, go buy." Take 5. They gave me 5 pieces of fabric. My elder sister gave me 5 pieces of fabric. I only use they because I don't like the person. Well, we don't like each other. Let's just be fair. But she gave me 5 pieces of fabric, and she gave me the order to go to the largest fabric market in Ibadan, go purchase this fabric, and told me how much I wasn't to go above for each yard of fabric. And I went there, and you get harassed when you go there, and it's actually bordering on sexual harassment because these are men pulling you. They start tearing your clothes even sometimes, But that was my beginning of dealing with supply chain because I was doing procurement. I was doing accounts payable. All these things, you're not told that language. All you're told is go and buy something. So to you, it's not a skill set. So by the time you graduate university and you're applying for a job and they're asking you for 10 years experience, you already have that 10 years experience. But nobody has told you that right from teenage years, every time you run an errand by an adult and they're telling you, go buy this, go buy that you've been taking part in procurement, you've been taking part in purchasing, you've been taking part. But if you use that language, it changes the game. So when you get out of university, you already have 10 years experience, you already have, it changes. So I will tell the younger ones, you have that experience. The language needs to be twisted. Are you doing volunteering at your church? Are you doing volunteering at your mosque? That can be translated into your resume. I don't see why it shouldn't be part of your resume. It doesn't make sense that you will be serving some God and you can't even use that to get a job. And you'll be shouting the government. But the government, like, why are you serving a God if you don't have work experience? So all these things, it's part of what I tell the younger ones, that the answer has always been there. We need to change our language, and I'm changing the language for you. I'm not going to be repeating the same language that your father and mother has been repeating to you, your uncles and aunts have been repeating to you, or the ones that they gave me, because the day I found out that language was useless, it made me very angry. And by the time I recovered from the anger, it wasn't good for me. I don't want you to go through that frustration. I don't want you to spend a whole bunch of your number of years of your life getting to that part, to that age, and then wait, I could have been doing this, I could have been doing that. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You don't have to be like every other person. Do what you want to do. If it's photography, use photography to make your part. You're seeing people now doing things with art. Art is not, you don't have to be a criminal. You don't have to be, it's not because you smoke igbo that you're a bad person. Nigerians understand what I said there. So, thank you, Dennis. I went a little bit over with the answers because you wrote very long questions, so I had to break them down too. But thank you. You can check out Denis at the African Excellist Podcast, and don't forget to subscribe to White Label American. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out the C4 Challenge. There are other fantastic creators like myself included. And for more of my content, go to www.whitelabelamerican.com. And if you want to get bonus content, join us on Patreon, where there's loads and loads and loads of content, including questions from my Patreons up there. Please, we welcome your support. We have merch. You know, you're not only supporting me, you're supporting Black-owned businesses. And I also give back to fellow content creators of color too, and from minority groups. I am Raphael Harry, host of White Label American Podcast. Thank you for the privilege of your company.